Welcome to our Candidates Forum presented by the League of Women Voters of Winnebago County and Oshkosh Media. I'm Margie Davey, President of the League and tonight's moderator. Joining me on the panel is Karen Schneider, publisher of the Winnebago Media Group, which includes the Oshkosh Herald, Neenah News, and Winneconne News. I want to thank the Grand for hosting us in this beautiful historic building with comfortable seating and great acoustics. I want to thank the candidates for coming out on this beautiful evening, aren't you glad it's tonight, to share their thoughts with you. And I want to thank all of you here in person or watching at home for helping the League fulfill our mission to inform and educate voters. Democracy is a team sport, and we're glad you're choosing to participate. The forum is co-sponsored by Oshkosh Media. The forum will air live on Oshkosh Media Government TV, which can be found on Spectrum Cable Channel 10 in the city of Oshkosh and Channel 99 on AT&T Uverse. It will also stream live on the Oshkosh Media YouTube channel and the free Oshkosh Media apps on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. The forum will be available on demand on the Oshkosh Media YouTube channel and will re-air several times on government TV between now and Election Day. Please check the Oshkosh Media website for replay times. The League of Women Voters seeks to inform citizens about major public policy issues and about candidates seeking office. We never support nor oppose any political party or candidate. The League publishes a monthly newsletter and has an active Facebook page. For more information about the League of Women Voters, access our website at lwvwinnebago.org. Please be aware that there are several polling places that have changed in Oshkosh. Be sure to access myvotewi.gov to check and double check where you vote. The city clerk is sharing this information in many ways too, but checking My Vote allows you to confirm your personal registration. Even if you've voted in every election since FDR, it's always better to check beforehand than to be surprised on Election Day. In addition to this forum and the wonderful local coverage this year's elections are receiving, another way to get to know your candidates and thereby make an informed choice is to visit vote411.org. All candidates received an invitation to submit to Vote 411, most accepted. And this would be all candidates in Winnebago County. I view the forums and questionnaires as a job interview, and I see it as a way to learn more about our candidates. So with that, let's get started. Public questions were solicited in advance. Those of you in the audience may also submit questions. If you want, there's somebody coming down the aisle with cards that you can write questions out on. And questions must be for all candidates and may not single out a candidate. Questions may be edited for brevity and clarity, and while we hope to cover as many as we can, we may not have time for all. We're also using questions that were submitted at the primary that we didn't have time to get through all of those questions. 4 candidates are competing for 2 seats on the Oshkosh Area School Board. They are incumbent Barbara Herzog and challengers Mallory Schneider-Birschbach, Paul Molitor, and Jacob Wolf. Incumbent Kelly DeWitt chose not to seek re-election. Candidates, please keep your answers as concise as possible so that we can cover as many issues as we can. Our timekeeper will give you cues. Please heed the stop sign so I don't have to stop you. This is not a debate. You will each be given the same amount of time for each question. And with that, we're ready to start opening statements. You will now each have two minutes to summarize your background, qualifications, and your motivation for seeking a seat on the Oshkosh Area School Board. Why should voters choose you over your opponents? Well, tell us. Mallory, you start.
Sounds good. Well, good evening to everybody, and thank you for attending or watching from home tonight. And thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Grand for putting this together. My name is Mallory Schneider-Birschbach. I've resided in the city of Oshkosh most of my life. I graduated from Oshkosh West, attended Fox Valley Technical College, and eventually earned my Bachelor of Science degree from UWO, majoring in environmental studies. I have diverse work experiences in healthcare, banking, and insurance. My overall work experience is rich in customer service, so I'm used to listening to people's concerns and finding ways to help them. But my biggest passion will always be advocacy, especially pertaining to public education, special education, and anything to support and uplift others in this community. I've been married to my husband Ryan for almost 9 years, and we're proud parents to our son Nolan. Excuse me. who is a first grader at Shapiro STEM Academy. And I'm currently a full-time parent and also president of the parent-teacher organization associated with my son's school, and have held that role for several years. So why should the voters choose me? I already regularly attend school board meetings and have attended several committee meetings since the end of last year. I've attended community events to connect with others, including having coffee chats. I also have no ties to partisan groups or political parties, which I take seriously since this is a nonpartisan election. This means I will make decisions best for the community, not for partisan players. I am focused on the things that actually matter, educating our students and supporting our staff, and making our community better. I also promise to not rubber stamp resolutions while I'm on the board. I will take the time to listen to feedback and learn more about resolutions so I can make informed decisions. I'm already immersed within the district, and I am ready to hit the ground running. I'm committed to this work and hope to earn your vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Mallory. Barb?
Thank you. I want to also thank the League of Women Voters of Winnebago County for putting this on, as well as the Grand and those in the audience here and at home. I'm Barb Herzog. I'm a former teacher, principal, central office administrator in 4 Wisconsin school districts, and a former academic staff member at UW Oshkosh. I hold teaching degrees from UW Oshkosh and a doctorate in educational administration and adult learning from UW-Madison. I have over 12 years of board experience here in Oshkosh, including over 3 years as board president, and I've served on each of the major board subcommittees. My reasons for running would be 4 in number. The first is to promote accountability in literacy and math growth and achievement for all students. The second is to expand the quality of our career and technical education opportunities for all students. 3, to advocate for improved facilities for meeting current and future learning needs and for efficiencies in order to save taxpayer dollars. And finally, to promote transparency, openness, and fiscal accountability in the work we do. I've been very active in the Oshkosh community as a volunteer in most capacities, serving youth and also promoting the arts. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Paul?
Yeah, I'm Paul Molitor. I'm running for school board mostly out of frustration. I've been watching school board meetings for the last, I don't know how many years, and things don't seem to be getting much better, if at all better. I mean, there are some fantastic things going on in the school district, but their issues are still there. Very few have been solved. I feel like I can contribute to the conversation and make a difference. The ways I can contribute, I've got a lot of knowledge, I've got experience, and I've got, I think very rationally. I have a background in education. My bachelor's degree is in secondary ed. I was certified to teach chemistry and math, PhD in chemistry. I've taught chemistry for 3 years at Creighton, South Dakota State. After that, I worked at the University of Illinois and I'm a nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopist. After that, I taught. I finally did teach college for 8 years. Chemistry, a lot of physical sciences and stuff, so I do know what it's like to be in front of a classroom, and in front of a classroom with students who often struggle with the material. In addition to teaching experience and educational experience, I've also got a lot of blue-collar experience. I worked at Oshkosh Defense for 2 years, and most recently I worked at United Rentals as a service tech for 7 years. That has taught me a lot about troubleshooting, fixing problems, diagnosing problems, and all those things associated with that kind of work. Now, along with the experience and knowledge comes a certain viewpoint that I've got. The fact that I've got experience in education, knowledgeable about education, as well as can see the viewpoint of people that are working for a living and doing the blue-collar stuff, I feel I'd make a great contribution to the board.
Thank you, Paul. Jake?
For those of you who know me, hello. For those of you who don't, I'm Jacob Wolf. I am a proud blue-collar husband and father. I have 3 wonderful children, so I have a vested interest in the success of our schools. And I am also a coach in the community. I've coached for the Oshkosh Rec Department, the YMCA, the Oshkosh Fast Softball Club, and I've been able to speak to a lot of families and students throughout the community and get feedback from them. As a blue-collar worker, I'm out in the field every day. I do directional drilling, so we run into a lot of complex problems that we have to find solutions to, and we have to stay until the job is done right. And I'm looking to put that blue-collar work ethic onto the board and focus on improvements in math and literacy, providing full transparency on every decision that the board's making. And I think I would just bring a great perspective, something a little different to the board, so that we have information coming from all walks of life. And thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to start with the public and panel questions. We'll ask public policy questions submitted in advance or by the public tonight at the forum. You will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question, and we're going to let Karen lead off, and she's going to go to Barb.
All right, good evening. So these are submitted questions, and we had this similar one earlier for Common Council as well. But that you are running for the school board, how many Oshkosh area school board meetings have you attended in the last 12 months? And then there's 2 and 3 parts to this. Have you attended school activities like sports or musical concerts? And how many hours would you say over the last year you volunteered in the schools?
Well, by law, each school board must meet at least once a month, and the Oshkosh District Board meets twice a month for most months, except for typically November, December, and I think there might be one more. So let's say there were 9 months where we reduced, so probably 21 board meetings. I attended every single board meeting, evening board meeting. I attend most committee meetings, and those are monthly meetings. I serve currently on the Education Committee, and I chair the Facilities and Finance Committee. So unless we canceled one of those meetings, I've attended each of those. I also typically attend the other meetings just to have an idea of what's going on. And there have been a couple of special meetings in terms of board employee group relations. I believe I attended one on paraprofessionals and perhaps one on the OEA. So that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question was, do I attend concerts, sporting events, and so on? Yes, I do. I do that on a regular basis because I think it's important as a board member to be a role model and to show that you are supporting the students and the staff who are putting themselves out there, putting on the uniform, putting on the mantra of their school, and representing themselves in the community. So one way as a board member I feel I can do that is by being present and congratulating them and thanking them. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Paul?
Yeah, I've only attended 3 school board meetings in person. I think of all the others in the last 12 months, I viewed most of them on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. It's just more convenient than spending the 2 or 3 hours at watching a board meeting if you're not participating. And you can speed it up if you're watching on YouTube. As far as other things, I have not attended. I did go to one play last spring.
And do you volunteer within the schools?
I have not volunteered at school.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Jacob?
Hi. So an exact number of how many board meetings I've been to in person, 4 or 5 in the last year. I do watch them all as well. You can ask my wife. She get my headphones in, my kids are yelling my name, and I don't know what's going on. But I have attended all of my kids' events in the schools, and they're wonderful. And I guess, I'm ready to get my boots on the ground and go into these schools and hear from the teachers and students, and I'm more than willing to volunteer my time and, make a difference in this community.
Thank you, Jacob. Mallory?
In the last year, I think I've attended almost every school board meeting in person except for a couple of them because of illness. So I've stayed home for those ones and watched on the television. As far as community events, I have gone to several community events. I don't know that all of them are necessarily OASD specific, but I would like to get to more of those school events in the near future. I think I was going to go to one of them at North High School, but unfortunately due to cold weather, it was canceled, I believe. But as far as volunteering goes and chaperoning, I've done chaperoning with field trips for my son's school, and also because I am the PTO president, I do put in a lot of time either going to PTO meetings monthly or on the side arranging to do events and other activities at the school. I don't even know if I could count how many hours that is.
Thank you, Mallory. Margie.
Okay, this question will go first to you, Paul. As a school board member, your voice will be only one of 7. To accomplish things, you will need at least 4 votes. How will you go about building trust and understanding with your other board members?
That's a good question, especially pertinent after reading Michael Ford's column in last week's Oshkosh Herald. Yeah, you're right. It's one voice of 7, and you need 4 to pass anything. Like I said in my introduction, I've got a lot of experience, I've got a lot of knowledge. I do know quite a bit about teaching, quite a bit about learning, as well as I can, usually think rationally through things, and I can usually communicate quite well, even though the words don't always come out right. So I think as far as persuasion and pointing things out, I'm pretty good at that. One other thing that I'd like to point out is that in watching the school board meetings, one of the frustrations I have is the viewpoints on the board are not as varied as the population in the Oshkosh School District. There are a lot of voices that aren't heard on the school board. And I think I've got the position and the knowledge and the viewpoint that can bring some of those voices, give some of those viewpoints a voice on the board.
Thank you. Jacob?
So when we talk about the board, and we're not always going to have the same beliefs on every situation, but when we talk about trust and transparency in the community and from the board, we also need to have that trust and transparency with each other when we're working together on the board. We need to have open dialogue with comments and conversations we've had with people in the community, the teachers in the community, and give that feedback to the other board members and maybe work towards a common solution that gives a little both ways and is what's best for our students, teachers, and the families in this district. So trust, accountability, and communication is key, and we need to focus on working together and not petty arguments. Thank you.
Thank you. Mallory?
Can you repeat the question?
I'd be happy to. As a school board member, your voice will be only one of 7. To accomplish things, you will need at least 4 votes. How will you go about building trust and understanding with your other board members?
As I had stated in my opening, I have a lot of customer service experience, so I'm used to listening to people. I would sit down, listen, see if we can find a common ground, talk over it, see if we can come to an agreement on something in the middle if it's possible. Not every issue, unfortunately, is black and white, but sometimes there's opportunity to find that kind of middle ground together. So I think a lot of it is just, it's collaboration, it's listening, it's not trying to talk over one another. I know that we're not going to always have exactly the same opinions, beliefs, maybe even solutions, but that's part of the job, is collaborating to come up to a solution together.
Thank you. Barb?
Wisconsin has very strict open meeting laws, and that prohibits school board members from talking with more than one other school board member when you have a group of 7. So I could talk with one other school board member, but then neither one of us can talk to any other board members in order to stay within the law. So some of the best ways to address this question would be you can share information at committee meetings, you can share information at the board meeting, you can ask questions, you can listen, show respect at all times, be honest, and of course, make sure that you're demonstrating the civility project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to start with you, Jacob. What 2 items on the district's strategic plan would you give the greatest priority?
A great question. I will have to look into that. I don't have that information off the top of my head right now, but I will do the research and get back to you. Apologize.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jacob. Mallory?
So right now, my understanding is that we're in a process of coming up with a new strategic plan, and we have a community event coming up at the end of April and early May for the Oshkosh School Summit, and everyone's welcome to attend, whether you're parent, not parent, doesn't matter. The whole community is allowed to come together, and we're going to prioritize what the community wants in our public schools and what we want to prioritize. So I think this question is a little bit misleading only because we might be changing what our priorities are. So I guess for me, I'm going to be interested in attending that event for sure and listening to what the community has to say and what we want to prioritize in the coming next 5 years.
Thank you, Mallory. Barb?
We currently have, I believe, about 15 to 17 what we call key performance indicators, which are things that we measure in 4 core areas: learning and academics, finance and operations, health and safety in our schools, and engagement and communication. As Mallory just indicated, we are in the process of redoing our strategic plan. We have an outside resource person who's helping us with that, and there will be great opportunity for community input at the end of April. Everyone is welcome to attend. The more voices we can get there, the better. I expect that learning and academics will be part of that, but no decisions have been specifically made at this time.
Thank you, Barb. Paul?
Yeah, like those 2 ladies said, there is a summit coming up, and I look forward to attending that. As far as the priorities go, academics are probably the top priority. Behind that is, well, I don't know, academics is, I mean, that's one of the main reasons to have a school is the academics. And right now, the proficiency numbers for literacy and math are not good. And so that has to be a priority.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, back to me. Mallory. You know, we had another one of these earlier, and so I know you've all done nothing else tonight, so you're fresh, but not true. They've already recorded another set of interviews tonight. Okay, so I'm going to you, Mallory. My question is, as candidates running for school board, it's a common thing to point out what's not being done right. Please list 2 things that are being done
Okay, great question. I am somebody who likes to look at the positive of things, although I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can look at the great things that the district is doing. We can also look at the things that we need to be making improvements on. But as far as the positive things that I see is I personally have a child in our school district here, and I know that we have some really amazing teachers and staff that he works with every day. I'm so very thankful for the teachers, the special education teachers, the speech therapists, OT, PT, adaptive gym education that is provided to my child, and they do an amazing job with him, so I'm so very grateful for the work that they do every day. Another thing that I think we do a great job at is that we're offering a variety of advanced courses at our high schools that give students the ability to earn college credit excuse me, before they graduate high school. And I know at least when I was here 20 years ago as a Oshkosh West almost graduate, there was not as nearly as many of those opportunities available as there are today. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you. Barb?
There are many things that are going right. For example, both of our high schools ranked in the top 3 in our athletic conference on the state report card in the 4 areas that are reported out, which include achievement, growth, graduation rate, and what they call the target group, which are those students who are scoring the lowest 25%. In addition, we have 36 dual credit courses with UW Oshkosh and Fox Valley Technical College. We've been expanding our business and school district relationships. We have extremely dedicated teachers in our district. I've seen applications for the Cole Awards. I've been a participant in selecting Cole Award winners, which are the top teachers and principals in the state for a number of years. And I know that we have some of the best teachers in Oshkosh, very dedicated. They take the iReady scores and they break them down and they make sure that students are getting the instruction they need, especially in reading and in math, to be more successful. The number of clubs and groups that kids can participate in to demonstrate their engagement, which usually leads to more interest in school and more success, are constantly on the rise. So there are a lot of things to celebrate in our district and many things to improve. Thank you.
Thanks. Paul?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things are the numerous programs to make sure that the students who aren't going to college are career ready. At last school board meeting, there was a girl that did some culinary arts stuff that was very impressive, and that's very important because not everybody's going to college. So I think that's one of the best things that are going on here in the Oshkosh School District. The other things are the ones who are going to college. It looks like most of them are prepared quite well with the AP courses and the other advanced courses that are available.
Okay, thank you. Jacob?
So I also agree that our youth apprenticeship programs are awesome, giving hands-on training and experience to our students. We pair with the Chamber of Commerce for that. I know that we also have CTE pathways. All of these are great ways for our students to get out into the community, find out things that they enjoy doing or where they might want to pursue their careers. So that is an amazing thing. We also have some extremely dedicated teachers that put in so much extra work and just go above and beyond. They're continually burdened with things and they just keep pushing through and help to educate our children, and I mean, those are some awesome things happening in the community.
Thanks.
Okay, I'm up again, and I think we're starting with you, Barb. So the public tends to pay more attention to school board meetings, but committee meetings are often just as important. Speaking from someone who watches way too many meetings. How would you prioritize your committee responsibilities and use that as an opportunity for dialogue and learning?
I think there are a couple of things that we can look at. Those meetings are held at 7:30 in the morning, and a lot of people begin their workday at 8 o'clock, and so that precludes their attendance. We have looked into having those broadcast, and we run into some issues with that, and so at the present time, they are not broadcast, but we have looked into that. We might consider moving those to a later time of day. I think we can also do a better job of sharing out the committee meeting agendas. They are publicly noticed because that's required also under Wisconsin's open meeting laws. But I think we can do a better job of defining what's on those agendas, and we can do a better job at board meetings of summarizing those committee results before they're voted on. Often what takes place in a committee meeting will appear on a board meeting for a vote or at least a discussion at a later time. So I think we can do a better job of communicating those out maybe on the district website or the Facebook page or in various other ways to make sure that the public is informed. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Paul?
Yeah, I do know that the meetings, the dates and the times are announced at every school board meeting. The agendas aren't always detailed, and that's another one thing that would help a lot. Unfortunately, I'm sure most of the committee meetings are not very you know, they're lower on the priority list, but some are very important. And the ones that are very important could maybe get a little bit more emphasis, a little bit more press, and a little more announcement that they are occurring. But yeah, a little bit more easier to find out when, you know, what the agenda is, and when there are ones that have high priority type discussions.
Thank you, Paul. Jacob?
I think it is incredibly important to make them more accessible. I get emails about them, so I tend to look into them, such as the Finance Committee. I mean, that's very important with the budget issues that we're having now, looking into how we're allocating funds for food services and issues like that is important for the community to know, and there needs to be a easily accessible platform, I think, that all that information can be shared. And when you go to the board meeting, it's just a quick recap. You don't really get much of the information behind it, so you have to dig in and look at these committee reports and do a lot of the research yourself. So I think more explanation from the board members would be great and help share all of those responses with the community.
Thank you, Jacob. Mallory?
Since I've been attending some of the committee meetings since probably the later part of December, I find them to be very informational, and I think it'd be great if there could be more participation from the community and just anyone in general, really, because they do provide a lot of insight that's not provided at the regular school board meetings. So it's something I prioritize right now because I want to get that in-depth look at things, but I would like to try and make it more accessible for the community at large to be able to make those meetings. So I agree with Barb that maybe we should look at potentially changing times so that we can get a little bit more involvement with those.
Thank you.
Okay, this question is going to go to
Paul?
Paul. Thank you. This is why we have two of us. One of us has a brain. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is a question that was submitted by the audience. I grew up in a community of small regional schools. Oshkosh seems to be moving forward toward big consolidated schools. Is this better? Why or why not?
My personal feeling is it is not better. One of the things that was discussed at the last school board meeting was student participation in extracurricular activities and things like that. As the enrollment in each specific school gets bigger, there are a lot of opportunities that not more students can participate in, so your percentage of students that can, for instance, sports that have a cut limit. As a bigger school, you have a less percentage of people that can be involved in that. So I personally feel that smaller schools are better. I understand that bigger schools might be more efficient. They might be able to offer more things, but my personal opinion is that a smaller school is better.
Thank you. Jacob?
Well, who doesn't love a small community school? I think they're very important. There's a lot of issues that go into creating these bigger school environments. Class sizes grow. You have more transportation issues. There's safety issues that a lot of our students and teachers are facing recently. They don't feel safe in their own classrooms. That can be an issue. I understand consolidation of budget and resources. Sometimes you have to make these decisions, but I prefer the small school setting where each student has more one-on-one time and more available access to that one-on-one time is incredibly important.
Mallory?
So I very much love my son's school, and unfortunately it will be closing at the end of this school year because of the referendum, but I do look at the positives that are within that referendum, which is schools that are going to be, even though they are going to be larger and because they're going to be consolidated, there's going to be the opportunity for staff to be available in those consolidated schools without having to go between one school to the next. Because we have to also think about, again, efficiencies within the budget and that type of thing. But the other thing I think that we can look at with the consolidation of schools is the culture that's created within those schools. It's not necessarily that the class sizes are going to be larger in a bigger school. We can create a culture within a school still that prioritizes our students, and it's not going to make it so that they're feeling like they're left behind, or that it's I think there's definitely pros and cons to it, I guess.
Okay, thanks. Barb?
I agree with Mallory. I think a big part of the size of a school is related to the culture that is developed. I spent 3 years as a middle school principal in a building with 1,300 students. There were 2 assistant principals, myself, the principal, I was one of the assistants, and the principal. We knew the name of just about every student in that school and spent time out in the halls and classrooms with them. So you can make a bigger school smaller, and they've done that at Bell Phillips Middle School with the implementation of the houses that they've instituted this year. So they've divided the students into 7 groups. Also in that school, on the north end, you will find that the students have their classes in a similar area, so they're not running all over the building. They do have to go out for art, music, and phy ed, but basically they spend their core areas in one place. Increasing cost is a huge issue. We have teacher shortages. Teachers do not like to travel between buildings. That's a problem getting people to stay. So if you could get more teachers, that would be one thing, but finding them would be, or is already problematic. There are many state schools throughout our 421 school districts that have larger schools than what we do. It's just that Oshkosh has typically had schools under 200. That's not a very efficient way to run your schools, and it's more costly. And so we have to consider the needs of the students as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did Paul answer this? We started with him.
Yeah, Paul started.
Yeah.
Oh,
Jacob
okay.
would-
I guess I fell down on the job, so sorry. Okay, so I'm coming to you then, Jacob. Wisconsin Act 20, or the Right to Read Act, mandates changes to reading instruction and assessment in public schools. Where is Oshkosh in implementing these changes?
So Oshkosh just put Act 20 in last year. So Act 20, based on Act 20 or science-backed phonics learning, was implemented last year. I feel like teachers are having a difficult time learning this new curriculum, the ways to teach. I think there needs to be more training, because a lot of times they have to go outside of their school hours and outside of the classroom to learn how to educate the kids using this new science-based phonics learning. So I just think that we need to give more support to our students and teachers to help them accommodate this new curriculum. But we're moving in the right direction. I think it's a great thing for the progression of our proficiency scores in literacy, and I hope to see improvements in the upcoming years as we keep implementing this.
Thank you, Jacob. Mallory?
So to build off what Jacob said, Act 20 is in regards to our reading here in the state of Wisconsin. I know that the district has instilled new curriculum at the elementary and middle school levels in this past year. And also we're doing assessments for students to see if they need a personal reading plan. I can attest personally that my son was placed on one at one point, and he was actually taken off of it because his scores improved so much. So I do know that the district is working on making sure that the students are learning the new curriculum, which is phonics-based, but also I think it's a continuous process where we need to make sure that our educators are all on board with the new curriculum, are getting the proper training for that, and also making sure that our students are are getting their proficiency and their growth scores up by looking at things like the iReady and Ford exam results.
Thank you, Mallory. Barb?
Thank you. The district recently reviewed a policy related to Act 20 and reading or literacy instruction, and that was approved within the last 2 months in the district. As Mallory pointed out, we have purchased new instructional materials. That was a requirement at the state level. There was to be a sum of money, some specific dollar amount that was made available to districts, but it wasn't large enough to cover all the costs throughout the districts in the state. And I think Oshkosh maybe got back 50% of what they spent on those new instructional materials. There is professional development going on, not only for teachers and principals. There's very targeted feedback going on with teachers so that they can move students along at a better rate. There are intervention needs which have been identified for students so that they can get the help they need to fill the gaps in their learning. There are personalized learning plans for the students who are in the lower 25% of the performance group. And the iReady assessments are taking place 3 times a year. And so that's a way to communicate to the students and the families what needs those students may have.
Thank you, Barb.
Yeah, phonics-based reading is, from what I've read, and I've done quite a bit of reading just recently on this, is the only one that works well most of the time. Other methods of teaching reading came about, which surprised me, near the turn of the century, and not this last turn of the century, the turn of the century before this. And phonics has been coming in and out of style through that 100 and some years. When I was in school a long time ago, we were taught phonics, and it made sense, and it was easy, and most kids learned how to read. So I think it's about time that, I guess, the state was forced to look at the data, look at the fact that that's the most reasonable way to teach reading and to enforce that. Unfortunately, it does cost a little bit more to do that, but education is, it's a strange field because for some reason people want to keep changing things, even things that work. And I don't understand that. That's one of the reasons I thought I might be able to contribute to the board, is because I do have a little bit of a background in education, and I've seen some of the silly things that go on.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay, this question goes to you first, Mallory. What is your plan to address the rise of artificial intelligence in the school system?
Ooh, that's a great question. Ooh. I'll be honest and just say I'm not a huge fan of AI for a lot of reasons, and it's just going at such a rate that to try and keep up with it, it's really hard to even react to it, and there's like really no way to be proactive at this point because it's already happening and it's so fast-paced. As far as addressing it, I think it's something that needs to be talked about continuously in classrooms, especially once we get into like the middle school and high school levels, as far as what expectations are for students and for teachers. It's something we're just going to probably have to accept at this point. It's happening no matter what we do to try and stop it, unfortunately. But it's just going to be something we have to probably put right into the classroom, if not even maybe make separate courses about it, so that students can realize when it is appropriate, when it's not appropriate, and also when it is appropriate and when it's not appropriate, and just trying to move as fast as we can with how much it is, how quickly it is evolving.
Thanks. Barb?
This is a really changing area. It's constantly changing. It's probably changing as we're sitting here talking about this. I know that the district did pass several policies dealing with AI within the last year. Those probably need to be relooked at because there are a number of things that have changed in this evolving field. I know that some teachers are talking about having students put aside their Chromebooks, especially when they're asked to write an original narrative or even do some some work on their own with regard to worksheets and that type of thing, so that the teacher can assess what the student is actually doing and not how AI is necessarily helping them. I think we need to do a better job of defining the role of AI and where it's appropriate in our classrooms and where it is not. I'm sure that teachers are using it to generate activities for students to do, and that probably has a better place for it, maybe less controversial than asking students to desist and not depend totally on AI for what they're looking to accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul?
Yeah, I can certainly see how it might be a big issue with teachers and students not doing the work, but letting AI do the work. Part of it is reducing the use of Chromebooks in class, reducing screen time even in class, so there isn't that availability. And as Barb said, a student or a teacher can easily do assessments that are done in class without any screen, without anything but a pencil and paper. That's basically where you have to start. So yeah, it will be a problem, and will be continuing to be a problem because students, like everybody else, are going to look for easy ways to get things done.
Okay, thanks. Jacob?
All right, so with everything that occurs with technology, it's coming. I think we need to find a safe and restricted way to possibly utilize it. I think it could be used as a tool in a classroom, but it can't be the main teaching tool in our classrooms. Where I see AI could be utilized in schools the most would be for our teachers, with the administrative paperwork and documentation. I think that could help them streamline that so they don't have as much of a burden for finding proficiency levels and documenting students that may be falling behind and having AI kind of work in those fields. I could see some promise, but I wouldn't want to see it used solely as a teaching tool in our classrooms every day. I see benefits, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done to make it safe for our students to use.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so we're coming back to you, Barb. I'm combining a few different questions that have been submitted. They're based along curriculum and beliefs. Should the Board of Education play any role in determining which books are selected for school libraries? And what does a balanced approach look like? And the second part on that curriculum is, do you believe that students need to have education in sexuality as much as on other health topics?
That one, please.
The second part? Sure.
The whole thing.
Oh, the whole thing, okay. Should the Board of Education play any role in determining which books are selected for school libraries? And what does a balanced approach look like for that? And do you believe that students need to have education on sexuality as much as on other health topics?
Okay, first of all, the role of the board is not to select instructional materials. It's to approve them, but not to select them. That's the role of administration. The district board is to define what. We need a new textbook. It's the job of administration then to determine the how and what that's going to be. So I would say no, the board does not have a role in determining what goes into the libraries other than through the policy that we do have on selection of instructional materials and instructional including materials that are in the libraries. A balanced approach would take a look at the fiction and nonfiction and a variety of topics. We want it to be age appropriate. And as far as topics dealing with sexuality and other health issues, yes, I do believe they have a place, and they need to be age appropriate for the children who are using them. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Paul?
Yeah, the issue of books in the library is a real touchy one. And from what I've heard from somebody who's run for the board in the past, is that there are some books that should not be in the library. And I think the board should take action when those things do appear as issues. Not approving every book that's in the library, but when there are books in the library that people look at and say this is not appropriate, the board needs to take a look at that. As far as sexuality and instruction of sexuality, this is an area that is loaded with worldview and viewpoints and values. And yes, students do need to learn about sexuality. I'm wondering how much of sexuality that's taught in schools today ever mentions things like abstinence, things like sexual morality, things like just things like that, in a more traditional values way, instead of just a way of a how-to. So, yeah, that needs to be taught, but
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
You're out of time.
Thank you, Paul. Jacob?
As Barb stated, it's not the board's job to pick the books that are in there. I feel when looking at the decision, if a book is brought up to the board to make a decision if that will be in the library, I think you just have to look at these books as what is the educational benefit of the book. If it doesn't have an educational benefit, or the sexuality referenced in the book is not age appropriate or anything of that nature, it needs to be, it's kind of like going to see an R-rated movie, right? Your parents have to give you permission if you're underage to go to that movie. I think the books that people might have issues with need to be listed, and let the parents make the decision whether they want their kids to be introduced to that type of material or not. There are thousands and thousands of books that are not available in our school libraries for one reason or the other. But like, as I said, Barb is correct that we don't make the choices on which books are included in the library, but if brought to the board, I think they should be able to make the choice on whether a book stays or goes.
Thank you, Jacob. Mallory?
Well, I'm more concerned about making sure kids can actually read the books that are in the library and not so much about the content at this point. But that being said, as a board, we're not, again, it's not our responsibility to be choosing these books. We leave it to the professionals that work within the district to select those books. I am really not one for excluding things based on this notion that some people find them to be inappropriate for one reason or another. It starts to become a culture war issue that ends up being a big distraction from bigger issues that we have in the district. So again, concentrating more on actually making sure children can read the books, but of course we want to make sure the books are age appropriate. I'm not really one to sit here and ban books, so that's not really what I'm going to be on the board for.
Thank you, Mallory.
Okay, we have enough time for a lightning round. You all set? Remember how we talked about concise answers? This would be a good example of that. Who are we going to start with?
Mallory?
No. Barb? No? Is it Mallory? Paul? Who wants to? We're starting with Paul. Okay. The timekeeper would like to know how much time.
It's a yes or no.
It's a yes or no.
It's concise, yes or no.
But if they go over 30 seconds, yeah. If it takes you that long,
To say yes.
we could have had a regular question by now.
Yes.
Okay. Have you participated in, or are you participating, have you participated or are you participating in the Oshkosh Area School District School Academy? Paul?
No.
No.
As a board member, no.
Somebody submitted that question. I had no idea what it meant, so thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to have 1 minute for each of you to make an additional statement if you would like to. And we will start with you, Jacob.
Well, I just want to thank you guys again for having us. Thank you to everyone who attended. The lights, once again, a little tough up here sometimes, and KPI question got me, but I appreciate it. I am willing to put in the work. I don't have the answer to every solution, but I'm willing to work hard, listen to the community, and work with our board to make sure that our students and our teachers and the families in this community receive the best education. And we can't have a great community without great schools, and vice versa. So I really have a vested interest. I want to see my children succeed. I'd be honored to earn your vote. I'm an open book, and I look forward to talking to more of you and getting to know more of you throughout this process. Thank you.
Thanks. Now we'll go to Paul. We're going backwards this time.
Backwards. Okay. Oshkosh School District has some fantastic things that are occurring and going on. Some fantastic students, fantastic teachers, and even good administrators. There are certain issues, however, and I think a vote for me will add a critical voice to the conversation. One that knows a bit about education, knows a bit about the world outside of it. A lot of experience in troubleshooting and analyzing issues, and a vote for me would help, I think, the district take care of some of the issues that they have that go along with the fantastic things that are going on.
Thank you. Barb?
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters, the Grand, and the audience both here and at home tonight for your participation. Informed citizens are the backbone of a good democracy and a good election process. I really would like another term on the board. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve in this role, and I would like to continue to help to make Oshkosh a better place for all of us to live, learn, work, and play. During my tenure on the board, we've advanced the adoption of a long-range facilities plan. We've upgraded our turf fields at both North and West, and the tracks at those schools as well. I've supported paying down the district debt in order to save the taxpayers millions of dollars. And we've made upgrades to our math and our literacy curriculums, which I believe will finally turn the corner for us on seeing some strong results in terms of student growth and achievement on the iReady. We're seeing it on iReady. We should be seeing it also on the state testing. So I would appreciate your vote on April 7th, and look forward to the privilege of continuing to serve all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Barb. Mallory?
Thanks again to everyone for taking the time to make an informed decision at the polls for the spring election on April 7th. And I again want to highlight that I understand the duties of this role and the time, energy, and commitment it entails. I'm already attending meetings along with having conversations with folks over coffee or while knocking on doors for my campaign. I'm committed to nonpartisan governance that focuses on the facts and gathering information to make decisions with students, staff, and the community in mind. I'm confident I can have a healthy disagreement with others, but also find commonalities when faced with difficult subjects. I can scrutinize material without tearing down the entire system. This means I won't rubber stamp decisions, but I also won't jeopardize the stability of the district and our schools. Our schools are social hubs that not only educate, but support and uplift students and families. My campaign is for every person who believes in the importance of public education, community, and the futures of our children. I'd be honored to have your vote, and if you wish to talk with me more, you can reach out to me directly by visiting my website at www.malloryforoshkosh.com or touch base with me after the forum. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. We really do appreciate it. This does conclude the forum for Oshkosh Area School Board. On Tuesday, April 7th, you may vote for 2 of these candidates, or up to 2. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Everyone must show a photo ID, whether you like your picture on it or not. You may register when you go to vote on Election Day. Early and absentee voting allows voters who can't reach their polling place on Election Day to vote beforehand. Check with your city or town clerk for that to find out when that's available. And I encourage you to go to myvote.wi.gov to find information on voting. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Winnebago County, I want to thank everyone for participating in this forum. Remember, our democracy depends on citizen involvement, and voting has consequences. Please vote on April 7th. Thank you.